I'm MarzGurl.
And I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 8 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 8 of City Hunter, titled The Bullseye is a Beautiful Woman, Hands Off the Female Detective. So as we're recording this, it is actually Christmas over here, so Merry Christmas to you guys who are listening.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be Christmas when you hear it. We're literally in the last hour of Christmas, and we're not putting this up for another 2 days.
But it's Christmas somewhere when you're hearing this, in the past.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, we wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about this episode, but first we wanted to bring up some interesting City Hunter related things that we found during the week. So earlier this week, we saw some art going around that we weren't originally aware of. That was this official crossover done for the 30th anniversary of City Hunter. That was art from the creator of Detective Conan, featuring the cast of City Hunter done up in that art style.
Crossover is kind of...
well, okay, it's not exactly a crossover.
He did a poster.
Yes.
He did a poster celebrating the 30th anniversary of City Hunter. Almost all the characters in that poster look exactly like the Detective Conan art, or what do we call it? Case closed.
Yeah, case closed here in the States.
It's really incredible how Ryo looks like he belongs in Detective Conan, and so does Sayako, and Kaori. Kaori looks
definitely
okay.
looks like she doesn't belong there. Somehow, Sayako, who you're going to meet in today's episode, Sayako and Ryo look very much like themselves still, weirdly.
But the one that 100% does not is Umibozu, who looks exactly like he always looks ever in his original art.
No difference.
Just incredibly serious, overly detailed, and very angry and serious.
We know it's done, this art was done by the creator of Detective Conan, but Umibozu still looks like he was drawn by Hojo.
Right, exactly. It's really, really funny that he's so different from everybody else on that poster.
And then along with that, we tried to look up some stuff to talk to you guys about, along with the episodes. We're going to eventually talk about, live action adaptations and stage plays and things like that. One of the things that we'll find sometimes is that when you're looking up or searching City Hunter on the internet, you'll run into things that aren't necessarily related to the anime or the manga.
Well, you were searching only because you saw somebody wearing some hoodie or something.
Right, so along those lines, I was out the other day at I think it was at Walmart or Target or something like that, and I saw somebody wearing a City Hunter hoodie. But it wasn't anything like the art style I was aware with, and it looked like it was some kind of serial killer or something like that.
The font was all
red, and I come home and I tell Kaylin about it. We do a Google search and find there's actually what is it, a death metal band?
It's punk death metal, because apparently all the comments section of all the people who listened to them said, don't call them death metal, call them death punk. I don't know, they just really were not down with that, and they're out of, I want to say Colorado, I think is what I said.
Something like that. This band called City Hunter, and we listened to a little of their music, and by little, their songs are only 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes a pop.
Oh, at best. They're incredibly short, and I start listening to one song, I'm like, what does this sound like? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, the song's over. All right. What's the next song sound like?
And I don't have the ear to distinguish between them, and they sounded okay. I just know it's not my bag. I'm listening to the TM Network a lot.
Yeah, this is not anime City Hunter at all, although it was really funny playing that music right alongside the first opening to City Hunter.
Yeah, you mute Love Don't Leave Me.
And, Ryo's running around in the city, and there's rainbows, and there's a bunch of cars, and there's sexy women while you're hearing... It's ridiculous.
Also, I'm sorry to most of you who listen to this with your earphones on. We apologize for our interpretation of death punk. Yes.
But by the way, still being on Christmas, I ended up getting you the Blu-ray pack, the most recent pack released by Discotech.
Yes, all of season 1 there.
Which came out just a couple of months ago, because they previously were releasing them broken up into 2 packs, and now you can just get the entire season all in one nice Blu-ray.
Thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. Everyone should buy it.
Yes. Support City Hunter. All right, so continuing to support City Hunter, we're going to talk about today's episode where we're going to introduce you guys to another member of the cast, Sayako. We have something like a crime story beginning that has nothing to do with anything else. It's a dude just going into his apartment, phone's ringing off the hook. Hey, man, are you going to get that? Nothing?
It was 11 rings. I counted.
Oh, you counted 11 rings. That's
I counted,
important.
and the answering machine didn't get it.
And we see this guy who we assume is some kind of criminal get knocked out. Somebody answers his phone for him saying, hey man, the cops are on the way, you better be careful, they're sending a hottie over. And it turns out that the hottie on the other end is actually
cop.
The cop. It's
Sayako.
Sayako Nogami, who we're introduced to here, who is a detective there in the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Force. She's somebody who we will see a lot of from here on out.
Yeah, she's regular, reoccurring cast.
So when we start out this episode, aside from this really quick introduction to her, we see that over at the offices of City and Hunter, Ryo is doing quote-unquote data analysis, which means he's just on the toilet.
Yeah, and to hide all of the sounds that might come from the bathroom, you can hear the... I'm joking. That's not what we hear at all.
No, those sounds probably happen on Taco Tuesday. That's probably going to happen anyway. No, Ryo is hogging up the bathroom first thing in the morning. Cowdy needs to use it. And then in walks Sayako like she owns the place.
Well, what I thought was funny before, Kaori is really upset for how long it's taking Ryo to use this bathroom. Ryo's like, oh, do you want to sit in here with me? He's just joking around with her. I just feel like he really thinks, oh man, dicking with her is real funny.
Yeah, see, now after last week, last week they were getting along quite well. Mm-hmm. Not even hardly an argument. And this week, we see he's starting to slip into that, maybe I should mess with her a little bit. I kind of might enjoy that. Let's do that. Let's do some more of that. And she seems to be responding more in the way we're going to see her respond, is that if he seems to have any sort of an allure toward women in general, I should hit him with a hammer.
Uh-huh.
We see that starting to develop here. But we see Sayako show up. She goes ahead and says, hey, Ryo, I want to see how you handle a gun. Meet me at the target range.
Which she does by opening the bathroom door while he's using the bathroom. She just doesn't even care. Like, you on the toilet, meet me down at the targeting range. Bye. Closes the door.
And you have to think about it. And, we got to get real here for a second because we know what the show is about. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't know what the show is about. I want to say we're both under the assumption she's already seen Ryo's junk.
Entirely possible, because as Ryo explains here, they know each other already. They've already met, and he's already done a bunch of work for her before in the past.
Right.
He even jokes with Kaori like, she's the only woman I've ever loved, and does this entire Casablanca flashback that's fake. He totally made it up. He pulled it out of his ass because he's just dicking with Kaori.
Right.
Just
trying to get a rise out of her.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, I want to say there's probably some truth that maybe they've known each other for about the 5 years that he mentions. Mm-hmm. So I'm choosing to extrapolate that.
Oh yeah, just I don't think that it has anything to do with the love and the romance that he joked around about.
Yes.
In any way. Because he later on also goes on to say, yeah, well, she's always coming to me asking me to do these jobs, and then she always promises me payment or compensation, and by compensation...
He means Mokkori times.
He means sexy times. And she never pays up, man. Like, I'm always getting used by her. So, like, clearly they have a history.
So I'm choosing the date he gives to say that he's got maybe, give or take, about 5 years worth of IOUs.
Sure.
Maybe. And I think that's a pretty safe bet.
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of his fault for continuing to think for 5 years straight that something's gonna happen.
Like, this is Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. This is Ryo and Sayako with the promise of Mokkori time.
It's kind of sad, actually, if you think about it.
Both cases, it's really sad, because they're never gonna get it. It's just not gonna happen.
I don't know why he keeps thinking, well, this time will be different.
But that's both of them.
What do you mean that's both of them?
That's both Charlie Brown and Ryo. They think this time's going to be different.
Because I was going to say, well, it's not Sayako. Sayako knows he will do the job every single time. She just has to lie to him, and he believes it every single time.
And he can't help himself at this point. Because as we can see, because we talk about art style here, Sayako is definitely drawn to be much more of an attractive female character. She's very leggy, very busty.
The traditional sexy sort of sense.
Right, which is a little different than how they draw Kaori, where I feel like, not so much in these early episodes, but definitely later on in the series, it seems like a lot of the focus shifts to her butt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just objectively, that's how she's drawn, whereas Sayako is always very leggy and busty.
But even Sayako kind of walks into the apartment, sees Kaori, and mistakes her for a boy?
Yeah, she's the first person to do that so far. Since Kaori's introduction.
Right. It was kind of weird because she also seemed to think that she was a young boy that needs to grow up so that she can have the sexy times with Kaori, which was kind of weird. It was a throwaway thing, but
And I don't think it ever comes up again.
No, because after that point, she knows who Kaori is.
Right. But it's also the other thing about it, too, that we're saying that this is Kaori's first time meeting Sayako in this episode, correct?
Yes.
So you imagine Sayako being the character that you and I both know, and this will get established later on, is that in most cases, Sayako already knows what's going on in a given episode. She already knows what the situation is. She's just kind of filling in Ryo. That way he's up to speed for whatever she needs him to do. So I imagine Sayako already knew about Makimura having passed away already, so she probably already knows who Kaori is, already knows what she looks like.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that, because Ryo did not know for a long time that Makimura had a sister or what his sister looked like or whatever.
But that was more that he didn't care. Sayako makes it her business to know things, though, being a kind of a snoopy kind of cop.
I don't know, she might have known that Makimura existed. Maybe now she knows Makimura is dead. Maybe. I don't know. I think you're thinking too hard. We don't have any proof that that is the case at all whatsoever.
Because to me, I think she did it to get a rise out of Kaori as well, to establish that she's the head woman in Ryo's life.
No, I really think we're starting to establish the joke that Kaori looks like a boy, because this keeps coming up over and over again from this point forward.
And the thing about it, though, even in this episode, is like she's in jeans at the beginning, but then she's wearing like a skirt midway through episode. So I don't think there's a lot of push for that just yet, but we're gonna get it more in these coming episodes.
Right.
So the case for this week is another complicated James Bond-esque situation that Sayako needs help with. So we'll break that down for you. So there's such a thing apparently right now in the world of City Hunter as the Cooperative Space Program. And there's a microchip out there with the stolen plans of the Cooperative Space Program. Somebody stole the plans to space.
Well, not only that, they're plans to space from what is name a fictional country that they made up for this episode.
Well, no, this fictional country is the one that wants the plans. The country of Uramania.
Sure, Uramania. Okay, that's fake land, all right.
This is our first fake land for the series, correct?
Is it? I don't know. I thought there was at least one other before that, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we'll double check on that, but we'll get this. We'll have a map made and put on Twitter at some point. A world map of all the fake countries.
We don't know where Uramania is.
I know. We're just gonna guess.
We don't even know a region where Uramania might be.
It's somewhere that way.
Yes, because
I'm pointing off in a general direction.
Yeah, you can totally tell where that is in an audio program.
Yeah, it's somewhere over. It's that way.
Okay.
It's somewhere to the west, because they say the west. Sayako does say it's somewhere to the west.
Everywhere on Earth to Japan is the west. America is the west. England is the west. It doesn't matter.
What does matter is that this country wants those plans, and they're probably going to sell them off for a very high price, or use them for their own space travel, who knows. What we do know is that these plans have been hidden in a crown that was bought by the country of Uramania, and it's on display right now at this exhibit for the Great Treasures of Babylon. None of that really matters, it's just context.
It's too much context because the space shit never comes up again.
Never. And we never see why it's important.
In fact,
we just know...
In fact, after recovering the chip, spoilers they do, we don't even see it go back to whoever needs it.
We don't see it go back to the Cooperative Space Program. We don't even meet a representative from the Cooperative Space Program.
We're stealing a crown, guys. We're stealing a crown from an exhibit. That's what this episode is.
We're stealing the thing that's hidden in the crown. That's what we're doing.
They take the whole damn crown.
Well, they do. Well, anyway, point is, Psycho says that she's been told the case is over, but she wants to go after it anyway and needs Ryo's help to do it. The reason being Ryo's impeccable skill with a revolver. Now, the reason Ryo's necessary is because this crown that they're trying to steal is behind some insane, impenetrable glass with some special coating that, like, wraps a bullet in, like, plastic.
It's more like plastic. It's not actual glass. Like, they go up to the exhibit just to see, okay, well, let's get a look at it since it's on display here in public and anybody can walk up to it to at least look at it. So we're gonna get a good look at this sucker. And Ryo taps on the glass deliberately to get the attention of the guards just to see how it works.
Hey, don't touch that!
And he does that bit of English that he's done in a previous episode. It's a joke, you know?
I wondered right there because this is the second time.
He only does it like twice, though. Maybe they intended for it to be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then maybe they were like, it's not that funny. Although I thought it was pretty funny. Well, it's a joke, you know?
It's a joke, you know? Like, were they thinking that was gonna be the catchphrase? Like, that was gonna take off more than Mokkori would?
Nothing was gonna take off more than Mokkori. He's already done Mokkori way more than, it's a joke, you know?
Yeah, it's like, you will never hear anybody bringing that up in conversation about City Hunter. You're gonna talk about the Mini Cooper, you're gonna talk about guns, you're gonna talk about Mokkori. What you're not gonna talk about is, it's a joke, you know? It's just not gonna happen. So, as they're trying to research, well, how are they gonna get past this glass to get to the crown? Somebody, we don't know who, they don't really specify, somebody starts shooting at Psycho, Ryo, and Kaori, and then a chase ensues.
It's a car chase. A car
chase that is like part Looney Tunes, Wacky Races, Fast and the Furious.
The animation and the
outlandish crap
and the facial expressions on these characters is very much like 80s gag anime. Like, I'm getting pictures and imagery in my head of Urusei Yatsura, for example.
There's a lot of that.
Big old teeth and eyes and facial expressions.
I think the term is like bean smile.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, we started using that when America started using a bunch of bean faces in our cartoons.
Yeah.
But to tell the truth, and I've seen people describe this recently on Twitter, like, nah, the 80s did, in fact, have a lot of anime where they used big bean mouth smiles.
And to be fair, I was saying this to you while we were rewatching the episode, Ryo's face in certain shots looks like Ataru's face when he's doing something naughty there in Urusei Yatsura.
Right.
Like, very familiar there. And even kind of the, for lack of a better way of putting it, the horny laugh, the Mokkori laugh that that he gets when he's oogling Sayako there.
I mean, one of the best parts is at the beginning of that chase where he's trying to oogle Sayako and then gets his face bashed in by Kaori and he ends up, like, eating the shift stick.
Yes.
And then she gear changes this car using his entire face.
Using his head.
Yeah.
Well, his mouth is still on the stick shift, and she's just moving his head around, like, don't look at me while we're doing this. Like, she is in control here.
There was no time to lift his head off of the stick to then put her hand where his mouth just was and then shift this car.
Now, once the chase is all said and done, we see another case of something that'll happen a lot, where you see that Sayako, once they are kind of cornered, she will definitely use her feminine wiles to get the drop on somebody or to get them to lower their guard.
Right, she's destroyed her car, and everybody's lying on the ground, and the enemies, whoever the hell these dudes are in, like, black suits.
Because they don't say.
They walk up, and she's lying on the ground going, oh, ah, ooh, it hurts. And they're like, what? Where does it hurt? Oh, right around here, like this spot here. Oh, where? Oh, here. And then she starts kicking them, and then everything is fine.
Because that's what she does. And the thing of it is, that's shown to be in stark contrast to Kaori, who generally doesn't do that. In fact, for the most part in this episode, Kaori is just a bystander.
She's just along for the ride.
But what we see is that the thing Psycho needs Ryo for is that he's able to use his marksman abilities to shoot 2 shots, or even up to
shits?
Up to 6 shots successively in the same spot. which is what they're going to need to get past this special plastic glass or whatever they're using.
He really only needs 2. He just needs the 1 shot to get through the plastic glass. Plastic glass, sure, that's what that is.
You know what, we're calling it plastic glass.
Fine, it's plastic glass. He just needs 1 shot to get through it in the first place, and that shot is just gonna hit the floor because it's been coated in this plastic, and it just decelerates and just drops to the ground. And then the second shot immediately goes through the hole that the first bullet went through, and that is supposed to deactivate the alarm that otherwise would have tripped had they just tried to open up the box to get the crown out.
Yeah, but deactivate is kind of overplaying what it is. It's not deactivating, it's just breaking it.
Well, you weren't gonna break it without shooting it with a bullet.
But the thing of it is, and I'm trying to understand here, Ryo doesn't use his usual .357 Magnum. This time, he opts for a special kind of gun, a Smith & Wesson 41mm Model 58, which is a rarer type of gun, using a different type of ammo that really is a lot more powerful than his .357. Really, it seems that he was using it for punching power. But the thing about it is, you can't use this for stealth. They're trying to sneak into this exhibit and make sure they don't get caught going through all of this trouble. But the thing about this particular sidearm or this firearm is it's loud.
Okay.
So even if they had done all that, even if they said, okay, we didn't trip the sensor, okay, we didn't touch the glass, people would have heard that shot. And he shot 2 of them. So all their stealth would be for nothing, specifically because he chose this gun. That makes no sense.
He shot the gun.
Yes, he shot the gun, and it didn't need to be a different one, far as we can tell, but whatever. So
he just wanted to brag.
I guess he did just want to brag. Like, he's trying to show off, like, hey, look what kind of guns I have access to. You want your ticket to the gun show?
I don't know. I don't know if he's bragging that much.
Well, like, see, the thing about it is, when you unfortunately look at that way, the hope this man has. Like, look, if she's not impressed by the body, if she's not impressed by my body of work, my gun collection, that's what's gonna do it.
I don't even know, do we know how many guns he has? How many guns does he have? Well, is that firing range his firing range?
Yeah, it's there in the bottom of their apartment, so I assume it's there.
So then I guess he just keeps all kinds of guns down there.
Yeah, like, Makimoto must have kept it stocked, or he did. Like, both of them had access to weapons. Him getting hold of a gun has never been a problem. So I've always been under the impression that gun range is his, outright.
Uh-huh.
And then they're being chased through this exhibit by these guards. Some of them were knocked out by coffee with sleeping agent in it, and some didn't.
Not everybody drank the coffee. I mean, I don't drink coffee, so if somebody were to do something to the coffee at work, I would not be affected because I don't drink coffee.
There's really not a lot to the end of this episode. They chase Sayako and Ryo through... Is this a museum or like a mall?
I don't know. They end up in a place where, by the way, we're in the lingerie section of the museum. I don't understand. There's a bunch of mannequins and they're showing off lingerie. And Ryo's like, look, if you want to hide from them, you got to take off all your clothes and look like a mannequin. As if we didn't already have a mannequin episode like 3 episodes ago or something.
3 or 4 episodes at this point.
4
episodes. But it's just an excuse to show off, hey, Sayako's hot. And, you know, she's in great shape. She wears that good lingerie all the time.
And then the bad guys walk through and they're kind of messing with her because she's the hot mannequin. And then she kind of knocks them around a bit. And then they win. And then they have the crown. And yes.
Yeah, Ryo shoots 3 shots up each of those guards' barrels.
Right. She shoots bullets directly into the barrels of the weapons that the other dudes are carrying, and they explode in their hands, and, you know, that looks cool. Like, he's a great shot.
Like, he just did that 3 episodes ago, so nothing new.
We just want to make sure you remember this is something he's capable of.
And then he's like, okay, job's done. Where's my payment? Where's my Mokkori times? Hey, let's do it right now. And she's like, no. Let's do it at the office, your office.
So they go home, and he's waiting for his chance to bone Sayako.
Yes.
And a woman comes in the room. Why would he not think that it's going to be Sayako when he's got his lights off and they've agreed? He thinks they've had an agreement. Why did Kaori then? Why was she the one to walk in while his lights were off? She didn't knock. She didn't say anything, and when he jumps at her, like, yeah, let's go, it's Mokkori time, Sayako, and Kaori's like, oh, so you just wanted to bang. Kaori, why are you upset right now?
Yeah, see, this is the thing I don't understand. We're not that far into their relationship. She hits him, okay, if she thinks he's about to assault her, then sure, of course he gets
But
100
why
tons.
didn't you knock? His lights are out. Like, he might be asleep. Why are you in there?
Okay, so that's his room, right?
Yeah, that's
let's
his
go over this
room.
for a second. That's
It's
his
not-
room.
It's not like he walked into Kaori's room to do this.
Like if you're going to bone your client, all right, you don't do it in your partner's room. I don't think. Okay, so that's already weird enough as it is. She's going into his room for some reason. Like, we don't hear like Psycho put her up to it. Like, hey, can you go in there and see if Rio's in there? I need to talk to him about something. If they had done that, then maybe it'd actually be a little funnier. But no, she just goes in there
And then gets mad when Rio has the audacity to be like, oh, somebody came in here to have sex with me because it's nighttime and the lights are out. What else could they possibly want? Like,
and as far as I'm aware, we're two consenting adults. And that didn't happen.
And then Kaori ends up chasing him around the room trying to kick his ass. Well, Sayako's like, oh, I see you two are busy. I'm just gonna leave with the crown. Bye.
And that's the last we see of her for the episode. And then as the chase continues, the blanket slips and
Kaori sees his dick.
yeah. And then she as it's just funny to think about. It's funny to think about that as Get Wild starts fading in, that she's out there looking at the moon, and she's basically contemplating having seen Rio's junk.
Yeah.
She's seen Rio's dick and is like, oh, so that's what it looks like.
Well, she's also like, oh, well, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. It's weird how it also ends with Rio cackling like a maniac, and there's a bat flying up into the moon as though he just became some sex-crazed vampire, and he turned into a bat and he flew away.
Like, a sex vampire. Like, you could call Rio a sex vampire. Like, he's trying to suck the life out of women by asking them for Mokkori times. Like, he just takes so much.
This conversation doesn't make any sense.
This ending didn't make any sense. Like, why was Kaori going in there? Why is she getting mad at him? It's his room. If he's naked in his own room, that's his choice. He lives there. Like, what's going on there? And then you're getting mad at him for getting some? Like, what's going on? Like, you're not dating.
And then he cackles like a crazed vampire, and a bat flies off into the moon.
Like, the only thing you can assume is that, and yeah, this doesn't make him look good, but what does, that he's just happy someone saw his junk.
So he's a voyeur.
Well, not a voyeur, he's an exhibitionist.
Exhibitionist. Okay.
Yes, that is as much as I can extrapolate.
This is a strange conversation. I just need you to be aware.
There's gonna be a lot of those as we get into this series. But that's pretty much what we've got for this week. Next week's episode, Kaori's not gonna be there.
This happens a couple of times before I believe City Hunter really truly feels like City Hunter, and we're like 80% of the way there at this point, but we still need like that other 20% where it feels like Kaori really matters. I feel like for these first couple of episodes that we've had her, she only matters so much. Maybe the team didn't know how long they were gonna keep her as the main girl lead.
You think they were thinking about swapping her out?
Well, because the manga does not treat her as this main important lead for a long time. They've got some other woman going on these cases with Rio for a long time before Hojo decided, no, I guess it is gonna be Kaori, like, all the time.
But as far as we're concerned here in the anime, it's Kaori.
Yeah, I mean, it gets there in the manga, too. It does get there, but it took a little while longer.
Yeah, so stick with us for a little longer. It's gonna get there, we promise.
And on that note, come back next time when we cover the 9th episode of the TV series, The Gambling Queen, Betting on Great Love.
If you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 8th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna make Josh take a knee to the face.
Wait, what?